I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
Today we're going to be talking about first love breakups. You know, the thing about the first love is that if you've been with that person, like say you started dating in like middle school, throughout high school, or, you know, high school and early into college, I mean, I think that's when we tend to see it, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have that, you don't really have a history with anybody else that you can really compare it to, or, you know, that it has this very special feeling behind it.
It's definitely a landmark in your life, and you're kind of figuring things out as you go with this person. It's the first time you've ever ventured these waters, so it's a really exciting experience. At the same time, you're figuring it out with somebody, so.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously, I think the earliest you're really going to see is you started dating in like late middle school or in high school. And then, you know, a lot of people wind up in a breakup in like around that college time because, you know, you're no longer in that school together, and there's a whole disruption to your lives, and you're in the working world or going away to school. But, you know, we're going to talk about this today because we know how painful they are.
Yeah, it is really heart-wrenching. And the thing about first love breakups is that it's the first of a lot of things. For many of you, it's your first sexual experience with somebody else. It's the first time making major life decisions together of where you want to live, what school you want to go to, what you want to do as your career. It's also your first time making a serious commitment to somebody at all. It's first time experiencing romantic feelings or romantic jealousy. That's a big one too, that you first experienced during this time, that you never thought you could have these feelings for anybody. And it turns out you do. Yeah. And it's also a time where your abandonment fears can get activated, or reactivated, I should say. Abandonment fears from childhood. So all of these feelings are coming back. It's the first time that you really feel close and connected to one particular person outside of the context of, let's say, a friendship or something else.
Yeah, it's a big difference. And, you know, because you're so young, you don't really have this maturity about it yet. You know, you're probably still living with your family, and whatever kind of relationship those parents have, theirs or yours, you know, that's all you really ever known. So if your parents are immature or they don't get along well and they fight all the time, you're really not going to know how to navigate these things. And so you don't want to try and beat yourself up too much when you're looking back at a first love ending, because you didn't know what you were doing. You were inexperienced. And so, you know, take it easy on yourself. Okay? If you're just in a situation where the person that you first started dating with, maybe in middle or high school, or even in early college, is having an impact, somebody's going to be like, I'm 67 and I just got out of my first relationship.
It might happen. It could happen.
We'll be eagerly awaiting that comment. But, you know, you're coming from this place of inexperience where, you know, you have all of these fantasies about your future, and we're going to get married at 19 and have our baby at 20 and have our career at 21. That's not the way life often goes.
Right. And the thing is, you grow up with all these expectations of what a relationship should be, and then you get into a relationship for the first time, and it's almost like reality hits you. Things aren't as you thought. Things aren't what you expected. You might have even expected the relationship to go on forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's something people go into quite often in their first relationships. And this can start some conflict because another person might have a completely different set of expectations. So coming together for the first time, you see this clash and this different in cultures and how you were raised and everything. The other thing that you have to think about too is that it's hard for a dumpy to understand when that breakup happens. Mm-hmm. So what I mean is that a lot of times in first relationships or first love relationships, people overpromise and underdeliver. Mm-hmm. And it's just because it's your first time feeling all of these different chemicals rushing through your body. And it's not uncommon to see people promise the world to somebody. And then once that breakup happens, you look at all of their promises and you think, what happened here? You know, mm-hmm. I got bamboozled. This is not what I expected. And this is not what you shared with me. So I think in later relationships, people tend to be a lot more restrictive in the way that they express emotions mm-hmm. to their partner, and also in the promises they give.
Yeah, because, you know, what we often don't realize is that how we're feeling changes. Mm-hmm. And so you make all these promises of, I love you, I want to spend my whole life with you, mm-hmm. I want to have kids with you. And next thing you know, they're like, I can't do this, I want to go off to college. Or I want to date other people. Mm-hmm. And you're like, you told me last year that we were going to marry and have kids together. Yeah. And now you're saying you can't do this? Like, yeah. I don't understand what happened here. Mm-hmm. When you're attached to these people and it's unlike anything you felt for anybody before, mm-hmm. it can be even more painful to think about dating somebody else, yeah. or giving yourself to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you're maybe becoming overly guarded about how everybody is, and does yeah. everybody say these things, and then they change their mind. And now you're trying to navigate being alone, really, maybe for the first time in your adult life. Yeah. So it's tough to go from being in this long-term relationship where it's been most of your early mm-hmm. childhood or late childhood yeah. to I'm not dating anybody, and that person who I thought I was going to be with forever mm-hmm. is not even talking to me.
Yeah, but I think you bring up a great point about how it is terrifying to go into the adult world and being single and not having that partner that you might have grown up with or might have, you know, done all of these new things together and figured out together. Now you're left to figure out the world on your own. And another thing, this might be a weird comment, but getting used to somebody else, even in a physical level, the way that they smell, the way that they make their coffee, the way that they move, their mannerisms, mm-hmm. all of these little idiosyncrasies of the other person, it might seem impossible to get comfortable to that level with somebody new. Yeah. And I think for the first time when you're separating for that person, it feels like you've lost everything just because you've been so connected with them. Another thing that can happen is that you beat yourself up and you fall into this trap of constantly blaming yourself for every wrong that happened in the relationship. Mm-hmm. You have to remember that this was your first time going through something like this. So with that context, you have to have some compassion for yourself too. The brain can also have a difficult time with time. So when you're in the breakup, this is your first breakup. You're going to feel like you're going to feel terrible inside forever. Mm-hmm. It's not true. Things do get better. It will change. And a lot of people in their first breakups, they tend to think that their first love is their only love. Yep. There will be other people that come along that you will have an emotional connection to, that you will build that comfortability level with. It will come with time, and it's just part of this treacherous process. Yeah. Even though it doesn't seem like you'll meet anybody else, or that other people that you date won't have the impact mm-hmm. that person does or did, you know, that's simply not true. Mm. You can love multiple people over your lifetime. And, you know, many of you guys that are watching this probably haven't loved multiple people yet because it's about first breakups yeah. and first love breakups. Yeah. But I can promise you that you will find yourself falling in love with different people throughout your life. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you can find somebody that you are truly happy with and stay with. But
even as you go through other breakups, you'll find that you love the people and you can love the part that they brought to your life, and that new people can come into your life if you open up your heart and you allow them to.
Yeah, and it's also important to remember that just because it didn't work out this time doesn't mean it won't work out in the future. We have tons of videos where Margaret explains individuation and separating from their family and going off and being independent, and that is part developmentally of that time period.
Yeah, and that's a big point.
Where you might experience that first love. So we hear a lot of times where exes say, maybe in the future we'll get together. And not saying that you have to put your life on hold. We certainly wouldn't want that for you. We want you to make the best decisions possible for your relationship. However, it doesn't mean that it's final, and it doesn't mean that it couldn't work out sometime later.
That's true. That's true. You know, if somebody has an impact on you, you know, even if things don't work out for whatever reason, maybe one of you is going off to college. Maybe you guys just want to see what it's like to date other people and figure out who you are. It doesn't mean that you can't get back together in the future. I have seen stuff like that happen over the years with coaching, with people that were first loves. They did wind up getting back together again in the future. That maybe they got together very young and they needed time to see what it was like to date other people, or to be single, or to find out what they were going to do for a career. And then as time goes, they wind up talking again or exploring how things are going to go again, and then getting back together.
Exactly. And it's also good for you in this time, too, for you to figure things out on your own. Even though it is scary and difficult, it is part of building up who you are and finding out your own personal identity. The other thing that I wanted to leave you with before we end is that there will be days where you feel more intensely about somebody in your life ahead. And chances are that you haven't had the best day of your life yet, that you haven't had the most romantic kiss of your life or the best date of your life. So there are plenty of things ahead. And that goes for no matter how old you are, you know? You never really know what lies ahead. And that's part of the excitement, also part of the fear. But let's frame it as excitement.
Yeah, you have endless possibilities for the future. If I was to say one thing to many of you that especially are younger, I would say learn about attachment. Learn about attachment styles. Learn about how to be a good partner in relationships. Learn the skills that it takes to maintain a great relationship, and learn how to become truly secure and confident. And it will help you throughout your entire life, whether your ex comes back or you start to date new people. You really want to learn what a healthy relationship looks like and how to make that happen through communication and hard work and understanding the needs of a partner and a relationship and your own needs and the balance that comes with all of that. You want to learn this now, because the more confident you are in your relationships, the more people are going to be attracted to you, and you're going to have a lot more options of people that, you know, maybe were on the fence with you, but they see a lot of attractive, confident behaviors, and they're a lot more likely to give you a chance. And now you have somebody new that you can explore things with.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot to learn from this experience and from being in a relationship for the first time. You have to take it as a data point for where you eventually want to go and the relationships that you want to have. And even if you are in a long-term relationship with, you know, let's say the next person and that's the last person you date, that's great too. There's lots that you can learn in both of those experiences.
Absolutely. So we understand it's tough. All breakups are tough. When you've had no other breakups before, it can be even more difficult, and we get that. And, you know, obviously, if you want to talk to us about that, you can. That's why we're here. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Margaret does Skype coaching, and as of right now, Coach Victoria is on most of those calls with Coach Margaret. So if you want to see Coach Victoria, that's how you can do it. Just click on Margaret on the top of the website to do that. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon. To get my help personally, go to AskCraig.net and click on Schedule Coaching and choose the option that works best for you. I do email coaching or Skype. To schedule a coaching with Margaret, click on Margaret on the top of the page and order a Skype with her. For the Knowledge Creative Healing course, click on the link at the top of the page and click Get Started Now.